All right. Hi there, everyone. Welcome to Coltex Call Talk, a series of podcasts where we interview some of the members of our community, particularly those who are advancing research, development, and innovation in our sector. And today I'm excited to introduce Dr. Khodani Matshusa from the University of South Africa. But he is going to take us through first to the background that led him to where he is today and the work that he is doing, both inside the contact community as well as outside. So with that, Dr. Khodani Matshusa, welcome to Talk. Good day.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Shaurengi, for the wonderful invitation. I'm glad to engage with you on this topic today.
Excellent. Thank you for making the time. I, for one, am actually quite excited to get to understand your world, particularly the geoheritage space. But before all of that, could you share a bit about your background and the path that led you to a career in research and development, and maybe particularly geology and geoheritage?
Oh, okay. Wonderful. Yeah, I grew up in a rural village, and I grew up surrounded by mining landscapes and coal fields and a lot of biodiversity, such as a Kruger National Park. Actually, my village, there was an magnesite mine. So I was curious about mineral extraction in that area. And we're also surrounded by diamond fields, such as the Venetia mine in Messina, which is not far from my village, and also the Chikonline coal mine, which has since closed. So those type of mining landscapes really made me to be interested in the field of geology and how these minerals are extracted. But furthermore, I was kind of wondering about these huge mine dams in my village, so magnesite mine, and ditches and trenches that have just been left open. So that really made me to want to know more about this industry of mining.
It's always interesting when we think back to maybe how we got to where we are today. I, for one, when I'm asked how I ended up in geology, it's always interesting that when you're doing your, say, secondary school education, you're not always clear on what you want to do and how you want to go about that. I am wondering, was there a turning point or some inspiration that you feel motivated you to choose geology and geoheritage?
Yes, thank you so much for that question. And absolutely, there was a turning point. As I indicated in my first explanation about my background, growing up, living around these mining towns and mining villages, studying throughout my primary and secondary school without the broader knowledge. But when I was in secondary, I then made a decision to study mining and geology. And then while there at the University of Venda, we then undertook a field trip to the Barberton mountain land, which is also called Makonja Barberton Mountain, which is now a World Heritage Site. While there, seeing these more than 3.5 billion years old rocks and mapping the whole mountain land really fascinated me. And I would like to believe that was a turning point for me to sort of understand as well the geoheritage aspects of this geology aspects or geology field. So that was really a turning point. When coming back, then I started to do a little bit of research on the area, but not really understanding how do I go about it. But as I then proceed with my further studies at master's level, and although I didn't do much on geoheritage, but I did on mining impacts. But then doing my PhD, then I thought then that's when I furthered more on geoheritage, whereby I conducted a study, which was actually the first in Africa, a PhD study to conduct geoheritage at the Kruger National Park. That I will say it was also a turning point. So I will say there are several turning points, but the first one was visiting the Barberton Makonja mountain land.
No, lovely. And we're going to come back to the geoheritage piece. We'll probably come back to your journey to ultimately attaining a PhD in the topic. But before all of that, I do think for our listeners to get a better sense of who you are, it's always great to understand what you do outside of the world of geoheritage. So with that, what do you enjoy doing for fun or to relate when you're not thinking about rocks or geoheritage? or just thinking about the world of some of the things that you do in your.
Yes, thank you. That's a good question and a bit outside of our professional activities. Although I do enjoy a lot of hiking and visiting these landscapes around the country and also in Africa and also other parts of the world. I enjoy a lot of soccer, playing soccer, even watching soccer. So, and I also enjoy a lot of sports as well. So I do a lot of running and activities to keep myself active. And I guess this is in line with geologists because we sort of like activities like walking in the mountain and napping. So I still enjoy a lot of hiking and still playing soccer. So those are some of the things that I do. But I'm also a Christian, so I also enjoy going to church and other things that I enjoy reading as well, inspiring books by well-known or even not so known authors. And I enjoy a lot of discussions that are speaking to youth development in South Africa.
So it's very interesting when you ask a geoheritage practitioner what they do and they're not working, and the answer is I take hikes. I'm not sure that is outside geoheritage, but that's I find typical of geologists. In terms of football, maybe you can expand a bit on that. What's your team and how's the team?
Yeah, as you know, I'm way older now than, I used to be. So for now, we play for a masters team around here in Pretoria. But before then, I used to play in a league, in a professional or promotional league here in Pretoria. The team I used to play here in Pretoria used to be called Mighty Kings. So I stopped playing, I think, last year for that team. So now we do still play for tournaments around Pretoria. And so I'm still active in playing, but although not really in a professional or promotional league.
Just maybe going back to the geology and geoheritage, do you have a personal goal or achievement in either geology or geoheritage that you're still hoping you can pursue and attain?
Yes, geoheritage is really my passion, and I'm very passionate about it. My vision is to break barriers and to open pathways whereby geoheritage and geoconservation, especially in South Africa and in Africa in large, um, whereby government and also mining houses and research institutions prioritize geoheritage as one of the pillars of sustainable development. And my wish is that, especially here in South Africa, maybe our government could incorporate geoheritage or even geoparks as one of the priorities in their policy developments. And so my wish is that there is some government or some institution in South Africa, a stable and institution that can run these programs for a long term. Because what I've noticed is that most of the people or institutions, they kind of touch and go on this field and there's no sustainability of the research thereof. So my vision is to champion this issue of geoheritage so that there is sustainability and then it can also supplement the mining industry, but is dwindling, and especially in the coal area and other areas whereby we need to reprioritize or repurpose some of the abandoned mines. So yeah, so my vision is to champion and to stabilize and to have long-term programs on geoheritage in South Africa, and also to train and do capacity building for the young people so that they're also interested in this type of research that I'm doing.
You've also spoken about what you hope for in terms of the next generation of geoscientists. What are you finding when you engage with young people? Is there any interest in that space? Do you think that the level of awareness is there? Not just get a view from you. How do you find your engagements go when you're talking about geotourism or geoscience with the young generation?
Yeah, it's a difficult one, Aurengi, to talk about that because, as you know, most of our young people are really looking for jobs, and in this field of geoheritage, you rarely find jobs in the area, which is a challenge for young people. When speaking to young people, they are interested, but as I'm saying, there are a lot of other issues that they're battling with. I would say there is interest, but in terms of awareness, I would say even older generations, you'll find in a team of or in a group of 10 people, for young people, you'll find maybe one by mistake who is aware of geoheritage. Even for older people, maybe we'll say maybe in 10 people, you'll find maybe two people. So in general, it's an under-researched field, and a lot of people are not aware of it. But I find it that there is interest in it. It's just that I think it's not yet being put into the public, and awareness campaigns or awareness programs are not yet at the level where the young generation, even in high school or in universities, whereby it's being taught. So you'll find that in universities, there's no program for Geoheritage. It's just touch and go there and there. So they don't really grasp or understand that this could actually be a field on its own where one can focus on and be a specialist in. So I think it's a issue of more work needs to be done to really sensitize young people, and I'll say also older generation.
I'm sure someone listening in may be thinking, can somebody explain to me what geoheritage is and why it's important? So, Dr. Matshusa, I'll ask you that exact question. How would you explain geoheritage to a layman? And how would you say or go about explaining its importance to someone who's completely not familiar with what geoheritage entails?
Yes, I always like this question when being asked about geoheritage, and I try to explain it in a very simple way. Geoheritage is, in essence, the story of the earth. So we're telling stories of the earth by rocks, minerals, and also landscapes. So if you look at a rock, it will tell you the history of the earth. So if you look at the minerals, it will tell you about the history of the earth. So it's not just if you look at a mountain or a certain mountain like your Abaton or your Mahalisberg mountain, these are very old mountains, but these mountains, they do tell a story. Even if you look into the history books, they are also connected to their culture, to the culture of that area, and to the history of that particular area. So these geological sites that we call geoheritage, they tell us the story of the earth and how people then used to interact with nature. So in a summary, that's how I'd say it's a geoheritage. Of course, if we will need to go into the details, then we will explain that there are different types of geoheritage. Those could be mineralogical, which will be like your minerals that are rare, that are not usually found everywhere. Because of that, it's rephrased as a geoheritage site and also classified as a World Heritage Site. The Bushveld complex, which is a wealth of minerals. So that could be a mineralogical geoheritage as well. So there are different types of geoheritage, but all these geoheritage, they tell us about the history of the earth and how human beings used to interact and us then interacting with geoheritage.
I have, in preparation for this conversation, I was thinking a lot about the impact that your field has made and can make in future. And you've already mentioned some of the big projects or potential projects that the average person is to at least be aware of because they have a major impact on.
I've been in this field for quite a long time now, and I made for UNESCO significant geological sites in Southern Africa that have the potential to be declared as global geopark sites with global significance. That could be an example for the whole world to say, you can visit this site, you will only find it in South Africa in large. Another project that I feel like it really made an impact, it was my PhD study at the Kruger National Park. Most of the people do not know about Kruger as a geoheritage destination. They know it is a wildlife or biodiversity destination. But my study identified geoheritage as one of the areas that the sun parks can use to diversify their offerings. And I'm happy that they have endorsed and adopted some of my recommendations into their strategies that they're currently implementing and identifying those particular sites. And I was happy because most of the sites I visited, nobody has visited before, and I was kind of happy to report to Sun Parks about my discoveries. Of course, there are other projects that I'm currently engaged in, especially here in South Africa. And I'm also engaged in geomining heritage project here in South Africa and Africa at large, which is really a passion for me because I think there is a lot of misconception about geoheritage and or geoconservation and mining, which is really a sensitive topic to many, especially the mining houses.
Thank you for that. I think in your 20s, you're really worried about making a name for yourself, or at least making people aware that not only do you exist, but there's value that you can add. And it seems in your 30s, you then consolidate that or really solidify your career. Then in your face, at least in my case, it seems you start thinking more about how you can be more useful or more helpful, particularly when it comes to uplifting young people. What advice would you give to young people who are interested in the field of geosciences or geoheritage or even environmental sciences?
Yeah, thank you, Aborengwe. I would say we kind of share the same interest, common interest, especially in the youth. Me myself, I'm still a youth. I mean, I'm still young, still under 40, and but I still think I can make contribution to the young generation. I will say to the young people where you are, embrace the change that is happening, educate yourself, embrace the technology that is currently happening, your AI, GIS, remote sensing. So in a nutshell, I would say embrace the change and educate yourself and, and love the nature. Try to understand how you can contribute to the sustainability of the natural environment as a whole and how you want to leave the legacy for even the other people that are still going to come after you. In a nutshell, I'll say embrace the change and, try to learn more about the current issues that are dominating the field. There are a lot of things happening, energy change and environmental issues that are dominating. So there's a lot of areas you can get involved, but within that area, also need to understand how these activities impact the environment and how you can help to minimize the impacts on the environment.
I really like that because our existence within the natural environment depends a lot on the sustainability of this one environment that we have. Also like that you underlining that young people need to embrace the technology that is available today. And I personally also am always hoping that someone will grab some of this technology so that they can make advancements that are for the betterment of society, but also advancements that will help us be one with nature. So I can only concur and echo your sentiment. So thank you for your time. Don't know if there's any last words that you want to share with our listeners or audience. If there is, I'm happy for you to do so.
Yeah, thank you. Before I just say my thanks to Aurengwe and Coltech, I would just like to throw the baton back to you as Coltech and to say that as Coltech, you can also play a very significant role in the area of geoheritage. You will know that we have world-class coal fields here in South Africa, and we really need to document this history and this coal legacy, even coal mining legacy, which is part of geoheritage, which we call geomining heritage. So I would like to implore Coltech to also engage and to develop some sort of a program on geoheritage. And I will really be happy if that can be part of a Coltech strategy or a project, as I say. But I would like to really, in the end, thank you, Aburengi, for the effort and the interest in geoheritage. It's really a wonderful platform that you've provided. And I really appreciate it. And I wish you all the best. Thank you.
No, thank you. The pleasure is ours. So there you have it. The Coltech community, the challenge has been laid. We've got over 6,000 closed abandoned mines in this country. We've got at least a couple of thousand coal operations. We're normally scratching our heads to figure out what to do with these sites. And perhaps geoheritage is one such option. With that, again, Dr. Matshusa, thank you for making the time. Till next time, see you then. Cheers.